So the first question I have for you, it's a real softball question, very easy. Is Sharon Carter a Skrull? I am thrilled to get to talk to you. The entire show is out. We can talk about everything. So the first question I have for you, it's a real softball question, very easy. Is Sharon Carter a Skrull? I'm kidding. You can't answer that. You can't tell us that stuff. How in the know are you about the future of these characters, the future plans of these characters?
Absolutely not in the know at all. Great. As you can imagine.
It's very tight-lipped at Marvel, very tight-lipped.
Yes.
So in terms of those future plans, we know, this is very exciting, a future Captain America movie is happening, but that doesn't mean we couldn't get another season of the series, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. If you were to come back, fingers crossed, if you were to come back, what would excite you the most about revisiting these characters?
Anything. Honestly, anything to do with these characters is a fantastic journey. So whatever gets dreamed up, if they do, then I can imagine it too. It just would be another boatload of fun.
I am a huge Marvel fan, and I love Sam, I love Bucky, I love all of these characters. My favorite of the series has to be Isaiah Bradley. The last scene at the Smithsonian moved me to tears. It was wonderful. Yeah. What was it like working with Carl Lumbly, living legend?
Well, living legend. And when he said yes, and when he came on set, I just had to point the camera. Honestly, he did all the work. And it was a character that we wanted to pay a lot of due to, because not only is he a deserving character, but he is I think, the only person who could say to Sam, no self-respecting black men will pick up that shield, embody the truth of that, which was, he had a very horrific past at the hands of experimentation and at the hands of, white agenda.
Yeah.
So I think it was a really inspired character to bring to the fore. And then, in the Smithsonian, and I think this is important as well to acknowledge that it wasn't just about Isaiah. It was about Isaiah and his community, which he says at one point. But I wanted to put all the images on the wall of the black soldiers who had fought in the Second World War.
Yeah.
And at one point he says, even I think it's in his backyard, he says, I came home to I fought in the war, but I came home to being mistreated. And Sam says, I get that, I know that. So for Sam to put this testimony to the black soldiers who had fought to save the country alongside Isaiah was, I think, the statement.
It was beautiful. And Isaiah holding hands with Eli, who is that future generation. Just the whole thing, the execution, again, as a huge Marvel fan, a huge fan of that character, Isaiah Bradley, 5 stars. It was beautifully, beautifully done. Question for you. You talked about this before, about how every one of your jobs adds you a new skill set. You learn something new. What did you add to your bag of tricks after having worked on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Every project you bring your skill set and then you add to it. Certainly, I learned about this particular kind of action sequences, which I hadn't really done before. And of course, there were a lot of them. I had never done a flying character before, I have to say that. So
you're an expert now.
Yeah, the VFX, I mean, I've done a fair number of VFX, or enough that I felt comfortable in the world, but, working with some of the best VFX in the world was pretty amazing. And so learned a lot about that and where the state-of-the-art technology can augment and help you. And I have to say, no matter what I thought I knew, I learned from Kevin's Grace and Zoe Nagelhood and Nate Moore, the Marvel executives that were on the show.
Yeah,
all work with such incredible respect and grace and style that I think that was really important to me. And I really learned a state of being, which is even more inclusive, because I come from a pretty tough business.
Yeah. Yes.
And so there's lots of personalities, and so they have a working style that is super creative,
cool,
and very supportive.
Great.
And so that I'd like to say I can take and add to my, not that I didn't before, but it just,
sure,
it galvanized it in a way that was, I think, very empowering.
Absolutely. Well, now that we can talk about all the secrets and we can actually discuss the things that happened in the show, here's another big kept secret. Julia Louis-Dreyfus on the series, which is so exciting. What was it like having to keep that secret under wraps, literally under wraps? She's cloaked up, moving back and forth on the set. What was it like working with her?
Well, she was, of course, as you can imagine, absolute delight and very smart. We worked on her character for a while to figure out just what, she looked like, and what her wardrobe was and how poised she was or how kooky she was. And of course, she brought all the lightness to it, but also the kind of dark opening doors to fun places. So she brought a lot to the party. I think she was beautifully written. So she was able to do a lot with the work.
Yeah.
And of course, keeping it secret. I'm stunned that we managed to, honestly, even with all the cloaking and all that. There's still a bazillion ways that word can get out, and somehow it didn't. And
absolutely.
So yeah, I don't know how that happened, but we got lucky.
We got so many great new welcome additions to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in this show, including John Walker, now as U.S. agent. Knowing that you don't know the future plans, you're off the hook. Give us some speculation. What do you think the Contessa is up to with U.S. agent? What is she talking about? What are those plans? What do you think is going to happen? I
have no idea, but they're certainly percolating. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Don't call me.
Yeah. Don't call me that. Yeah. Don't call me Val. Just a wonderful cast in this series. I want to highlight Erin Kellyman as the antagonist, Carly Morgenthau, this wonderful character. She was phenomenal in the role. What was your approach in directing her scenes?
Well, I wanted the character to be a villain that was an unlikely villain. So she has an innocent face. She is she's saying things that actually make sense. She's not just after power for power's sake. She has a plan, a vision. It's good. It's good. She then isn't being heard in a way that that is happening fast enough for her, and she becomes radicalized in part when her mentor, Mama Danya, dies.
Yeah.
And it's that mentor's death that I think she starts to twist a little bit and say that shouldn't have happened. It didn't have to happen. So she feels now, I think, the responsibility to start to escalate. Once she starts to escalate, it's such a slippery slope. She can't recover from it.
Yep.
So Sam does see in her, though, the good, and he never stops seeing the good. Even though Zemo says, you're wrong, she's going to go out there. And Zemo's right, and Sam is right.
Yeah.
And this is the gray world we live in, the world of choices. And so there's a moment of, just a brief moment of redemption where she says, I'm sorry, as she's dying in his arms.
Yeah.
And I think in that moment, he's glad he made the choices he did, and she's sorry that she made the choices she did, because it cost her everything, and it's going to perhaps amount to nothing. And it's Sam now that has to pick up the charge. And so he does. He goes out, and his speech is all about that, saying, why did she die?
Yes.
And you guys better listen, because
do better, Senator. Do better.
Do better, Senator. Yeah.
I loved it. I love the finale. I love Sam's speech. I loved the costume. I love the visual effects, the entire series. So just as a fan, I just wanted to say again, amazing job to you and everybody behind the scenes who don't often get that kind of love for working on stuff like this. So thank you again. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And I really appreciate you talking to us. Thanks.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.